disaster recovery holistically. We've provided you with the capability of protecting your data in a secondary layer with our backup solutions, such as NetBackup, for many, many years. We're experts at this. With this third layer now, providing you with an overarching capability to orchestrate and automate and protect your capabilities. You now have the capability of delivering predictably against your SLAs, automate end-to-end, provide global visibility so that you can see where things fail when they fail. And they will fail. It's the nature of IT to adapt to change. So we have to have that capability. But giving you that overarching layer is going to allow you to reduce your overall management complexity and allow you to grow with scale as your company strategies and your infrastructures change, and adopting to the agility that's required to support the growing adoption of private and public cloud. This is really hard, which is one of the key things why we've been uniquely positioned to provide this capability for so many years. 20 to 25 years of insight into how you recover services. What we're trying to do, though, is make it easy. Eliminate the complexity of this very complex process. I'll start with a final poll. How many of you have ever done a DR test? So, several of you. Was it successful? Yeah, exactly. What we're doing is we're building a solution that's going to allow you to automate the process of testing your preparedness, doing it predictably and easily. Push one button and see that it works so that you can have the reliability, the safety of knowing that it's always going to work when I need it. Thank you very much.
When it comes to GCC, 52 billion, because the focus is GCC, a population of 52 billion. Healthcare spend, 72.6. And I will come to it that how this healthcare is embedded with the help of infrastructure in the later part of the presentation. But when it comes to pharmaceutical industry, it is just 15 billion. But like the population, which is Saudi Arabia contributing 32 billion, I should say a lion's portion when it comes to healthcare investment, when it comes to pharmaceutical, when it comes to patients, when it comes to physicians, when it comes to nurses, in the range of 60% goes to Saudi Arabia, and in the range of 21% comes to UAE, and likewise to many other Gulf countries. And here, if you just see this, Saudi Arabia is becoming quite an accelerated country when it comes to healthcare, ranging now in the range of 80, and then it will jump to 70 in the world healthcare market, or you can say pharmaceutical market, which is a surrogate measure when it comes to healthcare. And here I should show that when it comes to Saudi and UAE, they contribute actually 75% of the market when it comes to healthcare or when it comes to pharmaceutical industry. And you can see that Saudi Arabia, and UAE is much more, is in the range of $250 per capita expenditure. And try to compare with a lot of emerging economies, it is definitely much more higher, and UAE actually goes to the range of $350. But what is interesting is, and here comes the infrastructure, that normally some 15-20 years back, it was the acute therapy, which was the top of the town. It used to be tuberculosis, it used to be malaria, it used to be infections. But if you see the quadrant which is blue in shade, it's all chronic diseases. Whether it is arthritis, whether it is cancer, whether it is hepatitis which happens, which in one way it is an acute, diabetes, heart diseases. These are the diseases areas which are taking quite a share in healthcare. And this is where the infrastructure is much more needed. The shade of the color tries to show the disability adjusted life how it gets affected. The red area, which used to be much more aggressive or much more a high contributing area because of infectious diseases, is actually shrinking. And these are the areas because of urbanization, junk food, sedentary lifestyle, and I should say increasing life expectancy. I'm giving an example of my own company, which I belong to as a vice president for the Gulf area. Diabetes. You all are aware in the world there are 400 million people having diabetes, and many of you must be aware somebody who is a diabetic. But imagine a situation, 642 million diabetic people because of this urbanization, lifestyle, and dietary changes which are happening across. And this is the population which is going to go in the GCC country, 5.4 million people. 5.4 million people are having diabetes. Imagine a situation when these patients require day-to-day care from hospital, primary care center, to secondary care, to the complications. And nobody dies because of diabetes. They die because of cardiac arrest. They die because of kidney failure, which happens because of diabetes. And a patient of diabetes requires at least 25 years of care in the hospital. Through the hospital, I should say. And this is just happening in GCC because of the rising population. And you can see the result, whether it is Kuwait, Oman, KSA, Bahrain, Qatar, or UAE, the kind of increase which is happening in the field of diabetes from 2000 to 2030, many fold increase in people with diabetes. And that is the reason this is just a great company like us, which probably most of you don't even know, but you will be surprised that this particular company has a market cap of $100 billion, much more than 3M, Schlumberger, and many other companies which are known very well. Because this is riding on the wave of epidemic of diabetes. And when it comes to healthcare infrastructure, these are the 3 or 4 things which are very important. And of course, the pharmaceutical manufacturing require much more integrated efforts. Primary care services, medical tourism, specialized center, home care services, and production. I will just try to dwell upon in healthcare industry, and we just dwell upon the example of Veritas in terms of the medical record facilities which are there. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Everything is possible. There is a utopia that if I as a person fall into the house, can I have an insurance system where in my app when I put the alarm, it goes to the hospital. The hospital emergency when it comes to my house without anybody giving me any kind of a help, and I am alone at my home. While I am in the hospital comes to know that it's a knee which has broken. And they are ready with an orthopedic surgeon out there in the hospital. And by the time I go, there is already a scan which has happened. And by the electronic method, it has gone to the hospital for the preparation of the right knee surgery. And then my record, my personal medical record and the history, tells them about the medication which can be prescribed to me without any kind of intervention, or you can say the drug interactions which happen. And then there is something, a home care facility which is further integrated. And lastly, insurance company directly pay to my hospital. A hassle-free life. Today probably we are not even at the 20% level when it comes to video telemedicine, remote monitoring, mobile health, and healthcare IT, which are there. Time is short, but I can dwell upon even our company, which has tied up with IBM Watson for the big data, the data by which diabetes monitoring services for the patients can be given. I would like to give you a couple of examples, and UAE is a perfect, or you can say the Gulf is a perfect example. Any country has got more than 70% penetration. In fact, you will find 80 and 90% penetration when it comes to smartphone. and internet. And that is something, a very nice infrastructure when it comes to health facilities and infrastructure which is available. But what is required? An investment. An investment to the range which we have just mentioned here, from 1200 to 1400 bed, require an investment of 40 to 70 billion in terms of getting that infrastructure which would help patients for a better outcome. And these are the range of clinical and business software, supporting hardware, third-party implementation cost per bed. And when you try to see when these kind of implementation, when they happen, an example is primary care digitalization. I've given a screenshot out there, which I talked about with my personal example. If I fall into my house, just try to see retail care, Walmart, what they have done. Walmart has come out with a primary care doctor or a family physician in Walmart medicine. Now no more person has to go and find an appointment, which is probably a weeks after, and then try to get that appointment, go there, take a prescription, go to the Walmart. Now a person can directly go into the Walmart for at least 112 illnesses which are primary in nature. I'm sure many of you who have lived in the Western world, they struggle. If you are in Switzerland, you really struggle to get an appointment for a week. If you are in Denmark, you just don't get an appointment. And these kind of services, they really help. These are some of the examples which I've tried to put it in primary care. Truven, Caremore, Redbrick, Kaiser. I'm sure that you know Kaiser. It has become a mammoth. It's not a pharmaceutical company. It's more than $50 billion healthcare provider. Integrated from primary to secondary. 170,000 people work for it. 10.2 million people are registered under it. And it's just not insurance. It's an integrated solution provider. And how it is provided? Data. They just have those mammoth of data by which they can do analytics after analytics, can give solutions to your hospital, to government, for an optimal outcome and something which is required by patient in much more value. This is a fantastic graph. If you just try to see on the x-axis, if you try to see cost, capital, these are the only things which needs to be, which will probably go down for an organization in terms of when you try to invest in terms of healthcare. But when you try to see the quality, affordability, access, prevention, experience, transparency, engagement, and personalization, everything goes up on the y-axis when you try to give from precision medicine to intelligent devices. So what you really give is the cost, but you also get a revenue out of it. And when you get a revenue, for example, if I take a case of diabetes, if I'm a diabetic, and if I'm not treated, then I get up into any kind of a disease from my limb amputation to kidney to heart, and they cost a bomb to the state. My diabetes management just doesn't cost. It's just 5% of the total cost. So while it looks that there is a huge investment which goes, and I said about 1,200 to 1,400 bed might require from 40 to $70 million kind of an investment, the outcome is much more interesting. Medical tourism, another area which is there. Can you imagine 35 billion is spent by the US population in medical tourism in different parts of the world? UAE is just going to scratch 708 billion. They are working towards it. They are working in terms of the visa, in terms of getting the accompany visa. And when we try to see UAE, they are only getting from Asia, 46%. All the hubs in the world, whether it is Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, or Spain, they are all fighting for medical tourism. And now even India is there. A specialized center, and I will try to run fast. A specialized center, this is the need of the hour. One of my colleagues, he had an hepatitis. And can you imagine that he could not get his liver transplant in the UAE? We had to fly him. That costed $50,000. A liver transplant further costed $150,000. Extra cost, cumbersome process, time, Whereas, if you have these kind of specialist facilities like Cochin for advanced surgery, Cleveland, which is multi-specialty but even focused on diabetes, Imperial College like in Abu Dhabi, which is for diabetes, you have Hospital, which is in Qatar, orthopedic and sports injury, and Danada Nagara, which is for women and children. You will find more and more patients, whether it is local, from outbound, they would come. And all these specialist hospitals require much more than just a doctor and a structure. What actually is much more investment intensive is the IT infrastructure, which should be embedded right from diagnostic to the final solution when the patient has to. These are home care services. They again, the backbone is actually the IT. And now, if you try to see one of the services which I have listed out here, Manzil, and you would have seen that we quite often struggle with elderly father or mother, the geriatric care, the rehabilitation for the kids, speech therapy, pediatric home care, all these kind of services, they require an IT infrastructure where a patient can put across their services what is required. The billing happens automatically and the services are given, and then there is a quick quantity which is paid. Pharmaceutical manufacturing, again one of the areas, as I said, the healthcare was a laggard. And this is by Gartner, but now it is one of the driving forces when it comes to IT infrastructure. I should say that again, when it comes to manufacturing, a lot of IT is getting into it, and now all these companies, Pfizer, Sanofi, GSK, and even us, Novo Nordisk, we are all talking about how to have a local production facility, and that requires. If you try to imagine the serialization is nothing but a trace and track of medication. It's nothing. But right from the production, the tablet is actually in the patient hands. Millions and billions of tablets you can actually track where it has gone. So those are called the traceabilities as well as the serialization. So everything requires the infrastructure which is there. But yes, the part of the presentation is challenges, and I have just 2 slides left, but I should say what is happening, the price cuts, the payment facilities which we have not touched upon. But I should say these are some of the short-term debacles which are happening. When you try to build an infrastructure, is there an ability to pay which is happening in the market, whether it is coming to pharmaceutical industry, whether it is coming to healthcare? What is happening is the payments are due. When you are trying to build, I'm coming from Saudi Arabia, they were building actually a lot of hospitals. But I also am aware that when it comes to now, the diagnostic facilities which are from IT-enabled diagnostic machines, it's probably cut down by 30-40% today. And the payments are not coming. And these are the difficult times when it comes to the Gulf countries. But you have also seen the building that is still in this downturn when average companies in Saudi Arabia, so to say, not so much in UAE, are coming down by the range of 20 to 25%. Healthcare is actually still a rising star by growth of 4 to 5%. So it's still something which is good. I should say more privatization as a challenge, as an opportunity, because there was a lot of infrastructure development in the hands of the government. Today, when it's coming to privatization, it opens up opportunity, but it also puts across challenges, how it operates, how it works, what are the modus operandi, how finally it is going to take shape. UAE has taken quite a leap when it comes to privatization of the model of the US, to some extent at least. But when it comes to other countries, it is still at a nascent stage. Lastly, in terms of the summary, I should say that healthcare is, in fact, today, again, the short-term depression is going to go into a new phase. Urbanization, dietary habit, and changing lifestyle will only drive healthcare. The aging or the life expectancy is increasing so much that the only way the life can be good is by investing into healthcare, primary care to post-operative, whether it is coming to awareness, diagnosis, screening, treatment, infrastructure is needed. I should mention that when I try to compare many countries, GCC is still ahead of the curve. The kind of data which you can see in GCC in the hospital, quite integrated, you don't see even in the Western countries. The question is, how much it is being utilized further, that big data analytics, is that happening or not? That's a question mark. I should challenges ahead, but our future looks promising. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this presentation. My name is Khaled from Oman. Just for curiosity, where do you see the jobs in this sector in the future? Are we going to see more hospitals or less hospitals, more MDs or less MDs, or what exactly?
I should say that the kind of opportunity which is there in the healthcare space is unprecedented in GCC countries. I see many, many hospitals to come across. The thing is, what will probably change is the jobs will increase phenomenally, because still the per capita doctors which we have got in GCC part of the world is still far from optimum, I should say. What will change is that there is a lot of there is a lot of dependence on the expat doctors, expatriate doctors, to the range of 50%. And I'm not talking about Oman, or I'm not talking about Qatar, so to say, but I'm talking about largely UAE, I'm talking about Saudi Arabia. 50% of the doctors actually are expatriate, in fact even larger. What is going to change is that we might find slightly a localization increasing in terms of the doctors. More expertise to come across in terms of the doctors. And I would say that there are 700 hospitals, but we see a sign of 150 more hospitals to come in the next 3 years. And that shows that the need for more number of doctors or MDs or physicians or nurses will increase at least by 20 to 25% in GCC countries. More specialist hospitals are coming. In fact, not only the primary care doctors, but even the secondary care doctors, there will be a huge need in the GCC part of the world.
Sir, you have given a very excellent presentation, and thank you very much for that. Sir, the figures, the financial figures in sector, what you have shown us is slightly scary. It's out of reach of a common man. So what do you foresee? Are the patients dying because people are not able to afford it, or you see healthcare coming down and easily available for a common man?
First on a lighter part, I should say, earlier people used to die because of malnutrition, and now more number of people die because of overnutrition. So that's actually a reality. In GCC part of the world, and if you are talking about, of course, health comes quite late. If you really see the Maslow's hierarchy, it's the food and the shelter, and sometimes even clothing, which is important, and health comes last. When you see the world, of course, there are a lot of people who are dying because of non-accessibility of healthcare. And the conference is actually on sustainability. The sustainability is access to medication, which should be the right of the people, which is not happening across the world. But when it comes to the GCC, if your question is about the GCC, I think GCC has got fantastic infrastructure when it comes to healthcare spending. I showed you one of the graphs. $250 is spent in Saudi Arabia per person on healthcare. That's quite a lot. That's quite a lot, and that's per person. And lot of healthcare is being supported by the government. And with the implementation of mandatory insurance scheme, and I'm sure that you could have a lot of colleagues, and even the people, new workers, they are supposed to have healthcare insurance. So I don't think so in GCC people don't have an access until or unless there are illegal forces working in the environment who might not have an access. So in GCC there is quite a lot of access, and the care is quite high in comparison to many, many parts of the world which we see. So that's what happened. But if you are talking about Africa, if you are talking about a lot of Asia part of the world, and specifically biopharmaceuticals, the access is a difficult question. If suppose somebody has cancer and he or she is actually in the emerging part of the world, the accessibility to those drugs which cost $70,000 per year, you will agree with me the access is still a question mark. And that is why 50% of the turnover of the pharmaceutical market, 50%, is actually in the US. The revenue comes from the US, 50% of the revenue comes from the US. Yeah.
Do you give some examples of diseases that are existing within the GCC, for instance, diabetes? You mentioned 5.4 million people in the GCC have diabetes. My question is that how much the GCC is contributing to the R&D to find a cure to these diseases that are keeping everybody awake at night?
When I started in industry 20 years back, I should say there were only 3 pharmaceutical companies working in the field of diabetes. And Novo Nordisk, it's not Novartis, Novo Nordisk was one of them. That was 20 years back. Today, one of the growing field is actually diabetes. You name a pharmaceutical company, whether it is Pfizer, whether it is Glaxo, whether it is Novartis, AstraZeneca, Merck, all companies have diabetes portfolio because that's one of the growing field. There are, if I just throw an example, 1 out of 4 people in GCC have diabetes, or at least on the borderline. So imagine in this room, 8 to 9 people have diabetes. Whether it is diagnosed or not, that's a question mark. So I would say that in terms of epidemics which is happening in diabetes, it is increasing. And I lost your question. What was your question? Sorry.
What is the GCC contribution in the R&D to find
Okay,
a cure?
the GCC contribution, and you will agree with me that when it comes to science and technology, it started in the last 5 to 7 years. The basic research is not happening in GCC countries, and that infrastructure is not there because you require the ecosystem for the basic research. But then the clinical research, and even a phase 3 level, pre-registration, is happening in the GCC countries. In fact, we ourselves are doing in UAE 3 or 4 research at the phase 3 level for launching of molecule. So that is happening, but basic research, I should say that they are quite, and if you are asking about the investment globally I should say a lot of pharmaceutical companies are investing, but Novo Nordisk, not because I belong, I think is the largest contributor to the basic research when it comes to diabetes, much more than any other government body or any other pharmaceutical company. That's because every second person in the world depend on our medication when it comes to diabetes. There are 27 or 28 million people who take our medication to actually survive and live a longer and healthier life.
How do you see the future for virtual medication or virtual providing medical services going on with the advancement of technology? In the past few years, we were told about or we saw some virtual diagnostic and virtual tests and stuff like that. How has this thing progressed in the last few years, taking into consideration the high costs and the cost cuts that's going on in some of the countries that you mentioned, as well as the advancement of technology going forward?
If anyone of you would have gone to the hospital 15 years back and would have gone in the last 2 years, you would have seen a sea change in part of virtual healthcare. And that's 15 years back, you will go and then the doctor asks you for a chest x-ray, and you go for a chest x-ray, and then you get a sheet, right? And then you put that into an envelope, and then you go to a doctor. Today, if you go to a hospital, your chest x-ray is done. By the time you are coming back to the doctor in 10 minutes, it's clear on the screen of the doctor. And doctor has already seen that x-ray. That's just part of the virtual which is in the hospital when you have actually traveled to the hospital. We call a system picture storage and communication system, PSC. That's already there. Electronic medical record is already there. Okay. Hospital infrastructure system is already there. The billing system already exists. So those things have advanced quite a lot. If you have an insurance card, I have an insurance card. The moment I go, my company is there, my name is there. The approval comes within, probably 5 minutes. It goes to the pharmacy after the doctor, the diagnosis is done. The pharmacy gives me the medication free. They charge actually to the insurance. So all that is happening a bit virtual. But if you're talking about home monitoring, if you are talking about a diagnosis which can happen from home, if you are talking about surgeries which can happen from the far distance places, they have started. But as we say, the democratization of these kind of services have not happened. They are still far from the reality that if I have fallen sick, and the example which I gave of myself, if I have fallen sick, can I have a monitoring or can I have a diagnosis sitting at my home and my doctor can see from the hospital and doctor can prescribe, the medication can come automatically to my home and then there is a home care which can automatically come. That is far from distant. But my friends who are also sitting from the IT, it will only happen because of an IT. IT, we say that $15 billion is the investment which has gone into the IT infrastructure in healthcare, which is going to go to $50 billion in the next 4 to 5 years. And all this is IT enabled. So a lot has happened, but a lot to be done.
Thank you, because I'm a strong believer that I think this could happen, or we can facilitate it and we can do it. Because with the advance of technology, I could be checked by a doctor who lives in other side of the world. My medicine could be delivered to me from the local pharmacy. Yes, maybe there are some tests I have to take it, the blood test, and I have to go to a lab, but a lot could be done virtually. And I think maybe that's probably an outcry to the IT community to help us in delivering this.
It is the highest investment field. In fact, even in pharmaceutical industry, there is a lot of investment in pharmaceutical industry happening in the IT, even at a commercial level, whether it is through our medical representative, whether the systems which we are using, and according to me, this is going to go at a very, very high acceleration phase, and I can imagine a time, and I have many, many examples. The time is short, at least in the field of diabetes. I have many, many examples where this can really become a reality. But remember, a lot is not happening in IT, in healthcare space. And a lot is not happening because of regulators, because of the safety. Your diagnosis, your prescription, the treatment is not coming because a lot cannot be done because regulators, and even for pharma industry, the most important part is the safety and the security. So today, when you try to do something in IT which is very, very simple in consumer industry, durables, in various other industries, you don't have to ask. In healthcare, we have a dubious distinction. Our reputation as a healthcare provider is actually worse than a cigarette making company. Can you imagine? Because on a cigarette pack, it's written smoking is injurious for health. But on a pack of medicine, that's not written. And the regulators sometimes think that we are aggressive and we are promoting our medication. So our reputation is actually a bit of a question mark. And whenever you try to do something which is very patient friendly, the thing which comes into the picture is why the pharmaceutical industry is going to the patient directly. And that is what is also blocking a lot, but I should say essential and necessary as well. We need to be cautious when we are approaching these kind of offering to the patient. And if that blockage is not there, or I would say important blockage, it will happen very, very fast.
I found this very useful. My question to you is, you you've spoken about diabetes and the others, and the numbers that we see right now are what they are. With things like Alzheimer's and the other diseases that are yet coming on, which are something like MERS or whatever, where do you see the numbers headed? And are we going to be spending a large part of our retirement pension money on medicine rather than just surviving?
This is a question, actually I should say that it costed Democrats. The insurance, actually Obamacare, probably, I would say it was the terrorists, or it was, you can say, immigration, it was the economy which was the main agenda. But behind the scene, people also say, probably Obamacare cost it in any rate. Okay. And this is the question because healthcare cost is increasing. And I would say the mental health and illness is also a very important chronic care. And you could see that block. It's heart, mental care, diabetes. They are actually eating a major portion of the resources. If I have a data that, like I saw it in Saudi Arabia, 8 to 9%. So in the world, 1 out of $11 on healthcare is actually spent on diabetes because I operate in that field area. But I would say that the figures for mental illness would be the same. As the aging is increasing, and we are talking about now an average age which is going to 74, 75, you will imagine that the mental health deteriorate, and that's given. So there is a huge burden as an insurance provider which is coming on this aging population. Luckily, you are actually in the GCC, where youth is a big force and one of the largest percentages when it comes to the youth. But think about the Western population. There, the mental illness is costing a bomb. In the US, actually it is one of the largest areas where they are spending, and not only spending on medication, treatment, but spending on elderly care and those nursing homes. That's quite a lot. So yeah, you have to be prepared, but your premiums are increasing, so you can take it.
I think you just mentioned it just now. What do you think? How can we prepare ourselves to this era in privacy from your perspective?
There are a lot of regulations, and it's a big topic in healthcare.